with humanity, with mother, father, brother, sister, friend, associate, countryman, and citizens of the world. And how is it that when we build these relationships, what does it have to do with the relationship to God? Our scriptures tells us, Prabhu Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan in Ramcharitmanas says, serve my creation in my name, and then you will be serving me. That is true service to humanity. In the name of God, we are serving God, thus building a relationship of a servant serving in the name of God. Hanumanji, who comes 1 week after the Lord arrives, Hanuman Jayanti, comes to epitomize this concept of service, selfless service. Throughout his charit, we hear about Hanumanji doing things without any expectations. This morning, we will talk about Hanumanji a little bit. We'll include a little bit with the Durga Saptasati and a little bit of reality of day-to-day life. Now, in all of our lives, we cannot exist without having relationships. Everyone has some kind of relationship, whether bloodline or just casual relationship, business relationship, club relationship, sports relationship. We find anything to have a relationship. Some people have drinking relationships. Yes, they do have those also. Some people have partying relationships. Some people have puja relationship. Some people have satsang relationship. Some people have no relationships, but that is about relationships too. And then some people have mandir relationship. And then some people have music group relationship. Huh? Casino, oh, of course. Casino relationships. He's reminded us, casino relationship. So all of these relationships, people have partners, wherever they go. Then they have sports relationships, sports enthusiasts who hang out only for sports or whatever. So we all have different things that brings us together. But the natural innate tendency of human being, we are considered to be a gregarious being. That is, we cannot live without sharing our ideas and experiences. Life will become too limited if we have ideas and thoughts we cannot share. And because we are that being, relationships are important. Because when we share, we want others to share, and we want to interact and share and build upon what we have shared with each other. This communal interaction is what makes us grow. It gives us an opportunity to expand our paradigm, to see the world from a different perspective. By talking to someone else, and we understand and appreciate their perspective, we learn to grow in ours and maybe even share that with others. Even if it's good or bad, in sharing, it makes for a better world. If relationships are so important, what prevents us from having good relationships? If relationships are so important, what prevents us from having good relationship? This is the question I want to pose to all of you today. And please, we encourage interaction in this mandir. So what do you, in your lifestyle, feel prevents you or others from having good relationship? What are the stumbling blocks? Anyone? Except Natarajan and Anil and Sunil. They listen to my katha all the time. Yes. A bad relationship with yourself. Give it a big hand, please. I want to thank you for two things, that you were brave enough to speak and then to mention something about the self. These are very, very sensitive areas to touch upon, but nevertheless, it's reality. Anyone else? What prevents us from having good relationships? Or
Pride
yes?
and ego.
Ego. And who said that? Somebody
Pride
else?
and ego.
Give them both a big hand, please. Okay, ego is a kind of a motherhood statement. It's like, ego, what's that? What do we mean when we say ego? All for yourself. Okay, let's explore. What do you mean by all for yourself? Anybody else? Self-centered, you mean I want to look good, be good, get everything? No, is that what I mean? No, what does self-centered mean?
Thinking about yourself all the time.
Thinking about myself all the time, but I love me. Why should I not think about myself? Focus on yourself. I'm focusing on myself because I want to be healthy. I'm being the devil's advocate. I want us to get this point.
This one in front.
Oh, yes, young man. Stand up, please. Yes. You put your hands up? Go ahead. Oh, you? Okay, stand up then. Give him a microphone. Let me speak. Here, take the microphone.
Overconfidence.
Give him a big hand, please. You wanted to say, take your microphone.
It's kind of like thinking about yourself without thinking about everybody around you. Like,
Now give this young man a big hand. Wow. Damanji, I believe a lawyer in the making here, right? Yes, please.
being jealous and hurting other people and not helping them.
Give him a big hand, please. By the way, these are the words of the innocent mind. I want to hear the words of the not so innocent minds, because they know the real reason. You see, they don't have any problem with relationship. They'll fight tomorrow and hug and kiss and make up tomorrow, the next day. But you and I, no. So, what are some of the things, the stumbling blocks that prevent us? Ego, not being friendly, being covetous, being jealous. What else? Fear. Give the man a big hand, please. That is, we are afraid. What else? Pride and poor communications. Give him a big hand, please. Okay, let's stop on pride and poor communications. Now, what has communications got to do with relationship? Everything? Maybe communications has everything to do with, my wife is not here today, so I'm going to make some statements. Okay, so I'm safe, right?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, right? I love my wife and we're having a great relationship, but I never tell her, I love you, in those tones. You know I love you, don't you know? Everybody knows I love you. I'm communicating something, right? Now, you and I may have the right intentions, but we use the wrong mode, the wrong words, the wrong place, and the wrong time to communicate our intentions. And as such, we fail to convince those whom we want to relate to of our true feelings about them. So communications is very important. In that relationship, let's talk about communication with God. Now, we all basically understand that when we say we are praying, pratna, what are we supposed to be doing? Pratna, what does that mean? Anybody? Oh, yes, please.
You're showing respect to God and you're not making fun of him, of how he looks and what he does.
Anyone else? Yes. By the way, these kids will take over the show if you all don't get your words involved. Oh,
so you're basically communicating with them.
you're basically communicating with them. All right, let's hold that thought. So, what are you telling them? What are you telling God?
So we're asking him to bless us
And bless us. Give him a big hand. Now let's take what he just said. When we pray to God, is that what we do? God bless me? Or let me give you a scenario of what I think it really is. Bhagwan, that husband of mine, oh God. That wife, that mother-in-law, that son, that daughter, why did you, how did you, why are they? Is that praying or is that complaining? God, can you make sure that the next door neighbor's grass is not as green as mine, please? Make sure I win that lottery ticket. God is saying, hey, hold on a minute. We're told that Bhagavan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita talks to Arjuna about this thing, relationships. चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जनः सुकृतिनो अर्जुन अर्थो जिज्ञासु अर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ श्रीकृष्णाय Bhagavan Krishna, in speaking to Arjuna, he makes a statement. He says, Arjuna, Chaturvidha vajante mam. 4 classes of people pray to me. And then one may think, oh, Bhagavan Krishna must be talking about the 4 varnas. Brahmin, Kshatri, Vaishya, Shudra. No. Then you must say, oh, are you going to take them away? I think they're doing good. Let them hang in there. I think they're providing great content. Don't you agree? Let the kids stay. Then we may think he's talking about the black people, the white people and the brown and yellow people. No. Bhagavan Krishna is saying that of all the people of the world, regardless of caste, color or creed, they all fall into 4 categories. And that is based upon their relationship with me. And he describes the relationship that you and I have with him. Now, many of you might have heard me explain this before, but today it is a review for you, and those who have never heard it, listen carefully. I am going to describe to you what Bhagavan Krishna identifies as the 4 classifications, and I want you, all of us, to, as I do this, to identify which group you belong to. But here's this. Don't smile or put your hands up, because I will know. Just remember to yourself which one you belong to. Because you will take that away with you today and ask yourself if you feel you're in the right class or you want to move up. So here he says the 4 classes are called Artho, Jigyasu, Artharthi or Jnani. Artho, matlab hai? Artho means someone who is after all of the wealth of the world, all of the riches, and want to acquire an acquisition and will do anything possible for the artha. And they will call upon God to work with them, to destroy others, to do anything, but they will call upon him and says, I want this and I need you to help me. He says, that is one group of people. And they are sincere when they pray to me, because they're sincere about their want and they're sincere about asking me for helping them. 1. Second, Jigyasu. He said, these people, they pray to me for events in their lives. When they're about to go for an immigration interview, to come to Canada, they do puja. When they're about to write an exam, when they're about to go for an operation, for a job interview, major things like that. And after that, they have no relationship. Anybody fits these categories? Don't put your hands up yet, please. Then there is Artharthi. Artharthi is this very popular group. Arth and Kam. It is said Bhagavan grants unto us charu phal, dharma, arth, kam or moksha when we come to this world. And he said this Artharthi is fixed upon arth and kama, pleasure of senses and acquisition of wealth, and they want God to serve them at all times. God make me healthy. God make me good looking. God make me have money. God make me have the best car. God. But he says, they call upon me, declare I'm the master, but yet treat me like the servant. So that's the first 3. Anybody belong to those? Don't put your hands up there. There is a 4th category. 4th category is called the Jnani. It says the Jnani comes into this world and comes to the realization that they do have a relationship with me. But the Jnani asks a question. We all know this prayer. It's a Sanskrit prayer. Let's chant it. Tvameva Mata ज्ञानी से ये प्रार्थना कहते हैं, हे प्रभु आप ही माता पिता भाई बंधु प्रीतम परिवार सर्वस्व है। हे प्रभु आप ही पूज्य है, आप ही शरणागत है, आप ही कृपालु दयालु है। The prayer is saying that, O Lord, you are my mother, you are my father, you are my brother, you are my sister, you are my friend, you are my mama, Deva, Deva. The Jnani, the person who is called the Jnani, says, Prabhuji, I understand all of this, but sirf ek prashan, I have one question for you. If you are all of this to me, how come I don't know you? And the Jnani spends all of their lives identifying and glorifying God in the mother and father, recognizing God in the brother and sister, declaring and embracing God in the friends and relatives, and seeing God here, there, and everywhere. The Lord says, Satchame Priya. He says, this one loves me. The other three just loves to use me. If we are building relationship with someone and all we are doing is using them, then what kind of relationship is that? But if we're building relationship to express our love to them, wow, what a beautiful relation that is. So as human beings, we need to reflect upon our lives and ask ourselves, is God someone that we use, or is God someone that we love? Many of us treat our parents like we treat God, and our relatives like we treat God, and our associates like we treat God. We just use them when we want, and then don't have any love for them at all. So in this Navaratri, it's a time to reflect upon our lives and our relationship, and ask ourselves a question. When we are using someone, we feel good that, that they're doing all this for us. Do we ever think how the person feels that you're using? Well, maybe they're enjoying, they don't mind, because they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. But you're doing it out of the greed and animosity and stupidity and simplicity, that you are using someone, having no love for them, having no care or understanding that they are giving so much to you. When we take that to the higher level, God is giving so much to us. When do we show the appreciation? Even when we pray, if our appreciation is not genuine, if you're only complaining or demanding, then we're still not showing appreciation. Prem So Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki. So the message from this shloka is, yes, we all have relationship with God, but is it the right relationship? Bhagavan does says that he has relationship with every human being. रामचरितमानस संत गोस्वामी तुलसीदास कहते हैं, मानव एक भक्ति करना, मानव एक भक्ति करना, मानव एक भक्ति करना. Sant Goswami Tulsidas in Ramcharitmanas, through the words of Prabhu Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan, as he speaks to Sebari, that devoted servant who waited for him, when she declared to him, my adham, adham, adham atinari, that I am the lowest of the lowest of the low, and as such I am not deserving of your blessings. Prabhu Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan responded to her, Manava eka bhakti karanatha. He says, the only relationship that makes meaning to me between myself and others is their bhakti, their devotion, their prem, their love. Love in my name. He says, it doesn't matter how much money they have and how much time they use me and how much time they demand upon me, how much fame, how many credentials they have. He says, those are very irrelevant in my structure of things. He said, but their bhakti, their devotion. So today, in concluding this message, the question I asked when I started this message today was, what are the inhibitors? What are the stumbling blocks? We identify ego, we identify attitude, we identify our state of mind. But it is never a father or mother or brother or sister that makes us not have a good relationship with God. It is our own karma, our own doings. And this thing that we call ego plays an integral part in that process. And poets and saints and sages have written over the years that we must manage this abhiman, this ego. And you know, we are subtle in our ego at sometimes. We feel that we can get away with it. We have the right smile, we say the right words, but then slowly but surely it rises to the top. Sant Goswami Tulsidas tells us that we must be conscious that we all have an ego. And we must treat our ego like a Spanish onion. A big, red Spanish onion. Now, it's a very tasty thing. But if I was to hold a Spanish onion like this, and I peeled one layer off, I will start tears from my eyes. My eye lobes will all start burning, and I will profound amount of water will flow constantly. But every layer that I peel off and I eat the onion is getting smaller, the tears are coming, but it's tears of joy. I'm enjoying eating my own ego and whittling down to size. We all have to digest our ego. Enjoy it while we are digesting it, because ultimately we will be the benefactor of the destruction of our ego. We destroy it, we win. Sant Goswami Tulsidas, saints and sages and poets over the year, writes and warns us about its ego. Mat kar tu abhiman re bande, jhuti teri shaan re. Mat kar tu abhiman, mat kar tu तेरे जैसे लाखों आए, लाखों इस माटी में खाए, रहा ना नाम निशान दे बंदे। मत कर तू अभिमान रे बंदे, झूठी तेरी सामने। तेरे जैसे लाखों आए, लाखों इस माथी में खाए, रहा न नाम निशान दे बंदे, मत करे तू अभिमान। कविता कहता है, the poet is saying that thousands have come before you and I, and thousands have departed. But those who have come and lived in this world with this abhiman, when they leave the world, those who know them, Rahana Naam and Ishana re bande, they want to erase their mind, their names from their mind. I don't want to remember that person, please. Such is the state of existence when we exist in this abhimanic stage, that even when we depart, no one wants to remember who we are. Good riddance. The poet tells us that we become a victim, if we live in abhiman, of the world around us. This same Maya that Bhagavan created, माया का अंधकार निराला, माया का अंधकार निराला, माया का अंधकार निराला, बाहर उजला भीतर काला, बाहर इसके तू पहचान दे बंदे।
मत कर तू अभिमान, मत कर तू अभिमान रे बंदे, झूठी तेरी शान रे।
मत कर तू अभिमान, मत कर तू अभिमान, मत कर तू अभिमान। कविता कहते हैं, द पोएट सेज, माया का अंधकार निराला। माया, माया क्या मतलब है? What does Maya mean? Maya means this world. Everything that we can perceive by intellect, touch, taste, experience, even in visionary state, everything, animate and inanimate, ये भगवान का माया। माया का अंधकार निराला, and because of our attachment and engagement with everything in the world, it has a dominating factor. It overshadows our divine intellect. And we have a high level of materialistic intellect or academic intellect, and we have a great desire for acquisition of artha and calm, but the dharma is weak. As such, when the dharma is weak, then we do not realize this close relationship to God, which is called moksha, and as such we are victims of Maya. Maya ka andhakar nirala. He makes a statement, bahar ujala, bhitar kala. On the outside, we are dynamite. We are brilliant, bright, we are smart and everything else. But inside there is darkness. The darkness of our unattached relationship or a very limited relationship with the divine. Our temporary relationship. By the way, everybody does have a relationship with God. Some is temporary, some are very limited, some are very, very wholesome, and so on. Prem se Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki. The question that we have been dealing with in the Ram Katha every night, and I'm inviting everyone to join us. We've been dealing about how do we, as the Atma, the individual soul, build this relationship with the Paramatma. And in one of the statements Sant Goswami Tulsidas makes in our reading, he declares that the Paramatma, that God is the only super intelligent being in the world. No computer is intelligent like God. And he says the unique difference between God and you and I is that because he is super intelligent, we are merely intelligent to some degree. And that is the simplistic distinction. His intelligence is beyond our comprehension. We are still striving to comprehend who we are. He knows who we are. He knows everything about us. And as such, he is above at all times. So we must not relate to God in the sense that, okay, and judge him by human standards. Many of us ask questions, why did Ram do this? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? Because we are relating him to our level of understanding, our limited paradigm of the spiritual world. But if we remove ourselves from that state, then we can appreciate the vastness and the profound glory of the Divine Lord. Prem se Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. As promised, we are in Navratri. I want to read a few lines from this Devi Mahatyam, and where the poet tells us about what are the qualities we must appeal to the Divine Lord to bless us with that will help us to overcome the stumbling blocks of building good relationships. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Dayarupena Samstita Namastasyai Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Smriti Rupena Samstita या देवी सर्वभूतेषु तुष्टिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै नमः नमस्तस्यै नमः नमः. Three specific qualities that we appeal for: good memory, the ability to reflect upon our past, compassion, and contentment. Good memory to reflect upon our past, compassion for all of God's creation, and to be content in the mind. If these three things are there, we easily overcome the stumbling blocks that prevents us from building that wholesome relationship with God. Over the next nights and the ensuing Sundays, we shall discuss how is it that during Navrat, when we spend all of this time in the Vrat, how do we inculcate, how do we develop, how do we enrich these qualities of good ability to reflect upon our lives, and what is the value of doing that? Developing our compassionate nature, and of course, to be content. Man santosha. Prem Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Shakti Mata ki jai. Let me take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you here today. कौन पहले बार आए हैं? Who is here for the first time in Ram Mandir? Any newcomers? I'm sure we do have. If you are coming to the Ram Mandir for the first time, put your hands up, please. No? Anybody coming for the first time this year? Yes? Not Ravi. Okay. Oh, over there at the end there? Let's give them a wonderful round of applause, please. Advertise, gentlemen. Commercial time. Oh, I have to hit. Technology is ahead of me here. Today we like to extend our sincere thanks to everyone for being here, and in particular to Mani Ben and family for sponsoring Preeti Bhojan today. Let's give them a big hand, please. Now Ramu, we know him as Ramu and his wonderful wife and family. They have been part of the foundation of this mandir, and they continue to be the foundation, the floor, the building blocks, and everything else. They're that kind of a family who've been here and stayed here, and they're so inconspicuous. You don't even know they're here. Does anybody know who's Ramu? Ramu, where are you? He's not here again. Come in here, please. Come. This is Ramu. Give him a big hand, please. You're remembering from his glowing headline. But more than anything else, you must reflect upon his glowing personality. His glowing personality of humility. He is the humblest of the humblest being that you can meet. And I think that permeates his entire family, his Dharmapatni and every one of them. Give them a wonderful round of applause, please. Saying that, I must tell you, although he's humble, he does work. Some people think when you're humble, you don't have to do anything. No, he does work also. And I think you can find his handwork in just about every little thing that's done in this mandir from the day it started until now. This occasion, Preeti Bhoj, has been done in memory of his dear departed father. And we pray that Bhagwan, Pitri Dev, ka darshan is always on them and continue to bless them at all times. Once again, Talia. Today, my dear brother Daman Kiskun is here, well-known figure in Toronto in the legal area, and he's been very instrumental in helping us to launch a series of symposiums that we've had. One of them was called The Youth and Law and Success in Life, to be exact. And I thought it was a very successful event. I'll ask Daman to say a few words to us. And he always has some nice story to tell us. So let's give him a big hand, please.
Panditji, my brothers and sisters, this morning I greet you in the name of Lord Rama. We will be celebrating his Janam Din on Tuesday. Panditji, I'll try and be here at 12 o'clock. I have to be at the courthouse next door, and I'll try and come over here.
We'll let him give you a lunch break.
For those of you who have heard about the youth conference and what we did 2 Saturdays ago in this wonderful institution, the children that were here received an education of a lifetime. That they saw the judge, they saw the law school professor, they saw the senior crown attorney, and also the lawyer. They're all members of this community. When the judge and the professor came into the temple, they right away remarked, "This is a beautiful place, but it's clean."